Tiny radios have recently become quite popular. In this video, we'll take a look at Baofeng's latest release in this category. It's the UV-5R Mini. The 5R Mini is positioned to be a competitor to the popular TID radio H3 and H3 Plus. These pocket-sized radios have grown in popularity, and the Mini is Baofeng's attempt to cash in on this growing trend. The Mini is available on Amazon in both single and dual radio kits. The two radio kits come with a variety of accessories, so be sure to take a look at the various offerings to get the accessories that best fit your needs. The kit we'll be looking at today is the two radio pack with two each of the single pack radios and accessories, plus extra Nagoya 771 long flexible antennas. As you'll see in a minute, the long antennas are actually Nagoya branded products. While I usually don't start with price info, and prices can change, I found it interesting that the two-pack offering was only about $8 more than the single pack, plus it had the two extra antennas. This pricing really shows the difference between the product's actual cost versus other related sales and marketing costs for these little radios. Let's start with a couple of the radio's key features. Besides having a new small form factor, the Mini is available in several colors. These include a neon green, traditional black, gray, and bright orange. One of the things Baofeng seems to be focused on is styling and colors. Many of their radios can be had in bright or subdued colors. The Mini also has Bluetooth programming for those who like to use a smartphone app. As with a couple of their other recent radios, the radios connect to the Walkie-Talkie Tool app available on Google Play and, I assume, the iOS App Store. The QR codes on the manual direct you to the Play or App Store, but to a different app. This app is called OLA Radio. Like the Walkie-Talkie Tool app, the OLA app wants you to set up an account. I found the Walkie-Talkie Tool app will let you access the radio programming function, but not the social features without an account. I realize that this can be a turnoff to some. TID Radio did the same thing when the OD Master app first rolled out. They took a lot of heat for that and ultimately allowed non-registered users to program their radios using OD Master. The good news is that Walkie-Talkie Tool is still on the Play Store for those who don't want to share their personal data. On the other hand, since I already had a Baofeng account, registering for the OLA app was annoying but okay. The app itself is similar to Walkie-Talkie Tool with some UI improvements. We'll look at both apps later in the review. The last two items regard the radio's performance. First, the radio is much cleaner signal-wise than many Baofeng budget class HTs. While not perfect, the harmonics I found were below the 25 microwatt level, but a bit less than 40 dB below the fundamental. The other performance factor is power output. The radio output just under 5 watts on the 2-meter band and just over 4 watts on the 70 centimeter band. I have some of those measurements coming up, so you can see that for yourself too. As we jump into the particulars, if you're finding this video helpful, please click the thumbs up button and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel with the notification bell on. There's also a join button and a thanks button where you can contribute to the channel. Don't forget to make use of the affiliate links below if you're thinking about getting one of these radios. The radios in this review were purchased using channel funds obtained from affiliate sales. I really appreciate it. Now, let's take a look at what came in my two radio kit. So here's the box that the 5R Mini comes in. You notice it's labeled 5R Mini, not UV-5R Mini. That's going to be important when we look at the CPS, as it's labeled 5R Mini too. but it's not a very big box, and this is the 2-set box, so it comes with 2 of everything that I'm about to show you, except for the owner's manual. So here is the user's manual. It's got QR codes on the front for the OLA app that you can use to program this. I'll have more on that here in the review. I'm not going to dwell on that right now, but it's really pretty typical of these Baofeng menus. It gives you some cautions, warnings, some displays here, what the buttons are, what the icons are, and that kind of thing. And then in the back, it finishes up with some of the advanced features and then explanations of the various menus that are included here in the radio. Now, to charge the radio, it comes with a little wall wart with a USB-A over here and a USB-C cable with C on one side and A on the other. And this plugs into the battery, not into the radio. So that's charging. It also comes with 2 lanyards, and these are a little bit unusual. They're more of a ribbon with a little clip that you can take off, and then this part takes you through the little hole in the radio. This is more of a neck strap than a wrist lanyard, so that's kind of new and kind of different with this radio. And then it comes with the belt clip. And the thing about the belt clip with this radio is it snaps into a channel on the back of the radio as opposed to screwing in. So those are a couple of the security things that come with this radio. As with most Baofeng radios, it comes with a little wired earplug and push-to-talk. And so this plugs into the K1 connector on the side of the radio. There's a little earbud that goes into your ear, and then a wired push-to-talk with a microphone in it if you want to use your radio a little bit more inconspicuously. Now, one of the differences with this radio is it comes with 2 antennas in the dual pack. And so the second antenna came in a little vinyl package. Here it is right here. And it's actually labeled as a Nagoya antenna, and it's labeled with Nagoya here on the bottom of the connector. And it's a dual band antenna, as you can see, with a SMA socket or female side here. And then the antenna that probably most of us would use with a mini radio, since this is really out of proportion for the radio, is a little stiff, little short rubber ducky antenna. It too is a dual band with the socket side here on the bottom of the antenna. So here's the radio. I've got the battery off it. The battery is labeled as an SC5M for mini, I suppose. And then this radio at 7.4 volts. It's got a 2200 milliamp hour battery, and it'll charge at up to 8.4 volts. Pretty typical of these little batteries. And then here is the FCC ID number for this radio. Let's snap the battery back on. And then also here on the back of the battery, we've got the channel for the belt clip. And then here is the charge for that USB-C cable with a little LED indicator here. That'll be either red or green, depending upon the charge state of the battery. And so as we look at the radio itself, we'll start here at the top. It's got the antenna connector with the plug or male side here, an LED for the flashlight, an LED indicator here for receive and transmit, the on-off and volume switch, and then a little loop right here for that lanyard. It's got about a 1.7-inch screen, I believe is what they call that. And it's quite bright and powerful. We'll see that here in a minute when we do our power on tour. It's got the buttons you expect with a VFO and memory mode, and then an A/B channel to change from the upper and lower display. Scan key or sweep key for doing some of your scanning if you do scanning with your radios. And then here we've got the menu, up and down and exit, and those work the way you would expect. Here on the keys are numbered 1 through 0, and then the number keys also have letters, which means we're going to be able to add channel names in the radio, not just in the CPS. The 0 key is going to give us the weather, and the star is going to give us a lock. So we go over here, we've got 2 push-to-talks, and so if you've got that dual mode enabled, if you press on the upper push-to-talk, you'll transmit on your upper channel. If you press on the lower push-to-talk, then you'll transmit on the lower channel, and then you've got a side key over here, which have a limited choice. I've got mine set to FM radio. And then over on this side, we've got the cover for the K1 connector, and it's the receive and transmit or earphone and microphone outlets there that we use that little twin pin connector for, and for programming as well, as we need a programming cable to program the radio if we chose not to use the app that this radio interacts with. So that's a quick power off tour of the radio. As you can see, it's pretty nice. It just barely fits in my hand. It's sturdy and solid. It's got a good feel to it. Nothing is rattling or loose. So all in all, it feels pretty solid. Now let's turn the radio on and do a quick power on tour. So let's do a power on tour of the UV-5R Mini. We'll turn it on here and listen to what it has to say.
Channel mode.
So it's the Baofeng female voice that you hear on a lot of their radios. So let's start by looking at the screen. I've done some programming. I use chirps, and so I got a bunch of programs, channels programmed in here. And this one is a good representation of what you'll see on the screen. So across the top, there's a gray. It's got the battery indicator. It's got a circle with a D, which means dual watch is on. And then that little, similar to a Wi-Fi icon there, means that the wireless CPS is on, or the Bluetooth is on. The red box shows that it's channel 3, and then it says H3 and plus, which means high power. There's a CTCSS code on this frequency, and it's got a positive offset. I've got a name on it, and then there's a RSSI there on the bottom. And then if we were to transmit, a little red line would go across there. Now, this is different in that the lower register or the lower display can transmit in this configuration using the lower push-to-talk. So there's two push-to-talks here. Just do a quick squirt here, and you can see that it moved down and it transmitted in that area. So we also then have the channel and VFO mode here. So if we watch here, we press it, goes into frequency mode, and then A and B will transfer from the upper to the lower as the primary receiving frequency. And then we can turn the dual mode off in the menus should we choose. Now, speaking of the menus, we'll take a look here, and you can see that this radio then has the segmented menus, which makes it very handy and easy to use. So you can scan. You've got controls for scanning, setting ranges there under the scan menu. The radio set, we can go into there, and there we have the things you're used to seeing, you know, step, squelch, power supply. If we go up, we can go up to 26 where we can reset. We can program side key 1. There's only one side key. In this case, there's kind of limited programming ability. I've got mine set to turn on the FM, and then we've got squelch, tail, and alert, and all that other kind of stuff. So we'll get out of that. Now we'll go down here to program channels, and a lot of these modern radios or newer radios are using this. So all the channel related things are in this menu. So if we look here, we can set the name, which means that these letters that are on the keys will be helpful for us in typing in text. We put in the receive and transmit frequencies, power, and a number of the other things that you will need to program a channel. And they're all in this menu, so it makes it much easier than having to scroll through, 45 or 50 different menus. So in this case, I'm going to exit. Here we can go down to the wireless programming, the wireless CPS. The only choices are on and off. I've got it on, and we had that little icon here. If I turn it off, I press up, highlight off, press menu. That makes the selection. And then now you can see, or hopefully you can, that little icon is gone. We'll go back into our menus, and we'll drop down to radio info. It tells us the radio's ANI ID, which is 100. If you do any DTMF signaling, that would be important. The firmware is 0.27 and the hardware is 1.0. So that will be handy to know, especially when we get to the point where firmware upgrades may become available. And I think that's the last one. Let's go down one more. Yeah, it goes up to the front. So those are the menus for the Mini, and it really looks pretty good. They've got bright colors, the font's okay, icons are useful, and I really like the fact that a lot of these radios have segmented their menus so that they're easier to navigate. And so now we're back to the main displays. A long press on 0.
A slight chance of national
afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Highs 99 to 104.
So a long press will turn the weather channels on and off, so that's handy as well. Now my side key over here, I mentioned I have it programmed for FM. I'll press that, turn that off so we don't get a copyright strike. And so we can go into there, and so we can either type in or just use the up and down buttons to move through the radio. Another long press or another short press takes us back to the main menu. Now this radio does have a flashlight on the top. However, I don't have a key programmed for that. So that's a quick power on tour of the UV-5R Mini. Really nice display, and as we've seen, it's a nice compact size. I mentioned earlier that the power output of the 5R Mini was very close to the advertised level. Here's that measurement. So let's take a look at the power of the 5R Mini. I've got this on the 20 watt range, so I'll be reading it on the second arc from the bottom. I've discovered that on this lower range, 5 watts with a 5-pot radio, the meter runs about 3/4 of a watt lower. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and run it on the 20 watt range. And so here is the 2 meter power output on high. You can see it's like 4.9. So it's very close to 5 watt. That's really good. I have another power meter, a little Surecom portable one that reads about that as well. So I'm fairly confident in that reading. Now let's take a look at what we get on high power in the UHF band, again on the second arc from the bottom. A little lower, as is always the case, it seems, and it looks to be about 4.1. So those are both good power outputs from this little mini radio. Here's an audio test to get a sense of what the radios sound like. Since I have two, I'm using the 5R Mini for both transmit and receive.
Test, transmit and receive test, UV-5R Mini. Test, 1, 2, 3. Test out.
Here's my test of the radio's signal purity. As I mentioned earlier, the 5R Mini signal is quite a bit better than other Baofeng budget class radios in the 2 meter band, but still technically out of limits. Keep in mind I'm using consumer grade test equipment. So I've got the UV-5R Mini connected to my Tiny SA Ultra. I've got 40 dB of attenuation. I've got the Ultra configured to measure harmonics at 146.52, and this line going across the display is that minus 16.02, which is the equivalent to 25 microwatts, which is the upper power limit for harmonics with the FCC requirements. So let's press the button. We'll let it cycle through a couple times and see what we get. Okay, things seem to have stabilized. The primary here, harmonic number 1, is a little low in terms of power. It's just a hair below 0. Number 2 is about 35, 36 below, so that's not quite the 40, but it's much better than many of the Baofeng budget class radios. Actually, I'm kind of impressed with this. This one out here in the 720 megahertz area is about 27 to 30 below. So that isn't as good, but if these were where they are and the primary was just a little higher, we'd be, completely clear. But the lower power here is causing that to compress a little bit. But both of these are well below that 25 microwatts. So all in all, it's not a bad signal. It's not perfect, and it's much better than many of the budget class Baofengs. The 5R Mini showed up in the chirp-supported radios in the August 29th, 2025 update. Here's a couple of screenshots of the data I entered into my radios. With the ability to import repeaters from repeaterbook.com and make use of stock configurations such as GMRS and marine band channels, Chirp makes programming the 5R Mini a snap. While not supporting imports, the factory CPS is also pretty easy for basic programming. In some ways, programming the radio menu items is easier with the factory CPS. The OLA programming app, as shown here, is also easy to use. After opening the app on your smartphone, you simply turn on the wireless CPS option in the radio's menu system and connect it using the app. The app has all the menu functions listed for easy menu programming, as well as channel display for choosing and programming your channels. All the things you need to set up a channel are listed in the display. Just add the frequency, CT, CSS, or DCS codes, power levels, and so forth to add them to the radio's code plug. You access the channel's info by tapping on the little slider icon at the top right of the blue channel box. The Walkie-Talkie Tool app will also access the 5R Mini. When you click on the icon for frequency read-write, you can click the cancel on the login prompt but still access the radio through the app, at least as of this recording. If you're looking for one of these mini-size radios or just a fan of Baofeng offerings, the UV-5R Mini is certainly worth a look. Its large channel count, USB-C battery charging, dual PTTs, app programming, mini-size, and broad receive band will fill many folks' needs for a basic analog FM radio. Its full feature set and low cost make it a great choice for a tag-along radio for everyday carry or for outdoor activities like hikes and campouts. Leave a comment and let me know what you really like or don't like about this little guy. I'd be interested to know. Join me over here for a review of another mini-sized ham HT and my amateur radio playlist. Again, please like the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. Thanks for watching, and 73.